7 o'clock. If you would all join me in pledge allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. Item number 3 is public comment.
Sorry?
Public comment.
I'm here regarding the building on 88 Main Street. Is this the area for public comment or is it later?
No, you're welcome. Give your name and address if you would, please.
Yes, my name is Jeffrey Anolik, A-N-O-L-I-K, and I have the jewelry shop on 88 Main Street. Not 88, next to 88 Main Street, 76 Main Street. And the reason I'm here tonight is for some concerns that I've seen since the store has been blocked up with staging. I don't know if you've been downtown recently, but there seems to be a lot of staging blocking in front of my store with no work going on. And into that, a lot of dirt. Doesn't seem to be much netting over the area that's being worked on. It seems the entire block is, blocked off, starting 76 Main Street down. And I've had tons of dirt come towards my store. So I hope possibly we could try to resolve it if the work continues. And I don't know if you know, but there's been no work going on this past week at that location. And I've understood from Miss Berry that there'd be one truck parked in front of the store, and at times there've been 2 or 3 trucks parked basically from where Abigail's jewelry box is down to where Dexter is working on the building. And I was concerned that the walkway should be opened up in some direction for people as the construction goes through that could walk through. Because basically where I am now, I'm very hidden.
What's your business?
Where Abigail Jewelry Box is. Before Shoppers Guide.
Yeah, I know you.
So I'm concerned that ever since this event started 3 weeks ago, my business has been substantially down and traffic has been very nil on that side of the street. Now, so I thought when I spoke to Ms. Berry originally that there'd be a walkway through it where some signs would be erected and people would walk through during construction. And now I see it's blocked up from one end to basically where Girardi's Insurance is. So there's no signs, there's just no walkthrough. And it's very imposing, a 3-structure tier on the building that the people, so they stay far away from it. It's not like a 1-story, 2-story going, it's a high building. So the staging is from the bottom up. It's very foreboding to people. And I think, in my opinion, that's why people haven't been coming to my place of business as much. And I also think that I need signage to say I'm open for business, even though this building is being worked on during the time. And I don't know how long at this time this project is going to go on for. Originally, I thought it was under the impression it was 3 months, 3.5 months. At this stage, after 3 weeks of being up, I'm not certain how long it's, going to be up. And if there's a possibility, if I could impose upon someone here to find out the parameters of it, I really don't know. I've never come to a meeting before. I never bothered coming prior to this, and this is something new for me. But it's become a real problem between parking, dirt, and I have no idea because I'm so hidden. I'm not sure of the scope or how long the project is going to be. So I was wondering if we could address the parking issues, maybe a police directing it onto 44. I just was not sure. I'm just, maybe I should have found out sooner. But now that it's going on, I was wondering if we could get some more clarification from Mr. Dexter or Mr. Rose, who are here presently. And, I appreciate you letting me bring this matter to the board, but I am concerned. And And I think it's dangerous to be up too long. You know, I've had, recent vandalisms with children. I just think, even though the blocking is a serious issue, I just think there should be just, if we could get clarification tonight, I think it would be wonderful. I can't address the other issues he's here for, but I know from my experience, it's been very difficult. And I thank you for your consideration. Thank you.
Delbert, if I can impose on you maybe for a little insight or direction to where we are with things.
Sure. Jeff and both his sister have been in. I think your sister's been in once in my office, and I know Jeff gives a weekly call, and we've had conversations regarding the project. As far as the scaffolding goes and netting, that's a health and safety feature, and we have to abide by code and those kind of things as far as what is allowed, especially that's a narrow corner. So it's really, under the auspices of the construction consultant to put up scaffolding and make sure that health and safety issues are right. Jeff has asked several times how long the scope of work, and in the contract it says 4 to 5 months, and that's pretty much the time that we have given him. But if we get further delays, that may be pushed out. The parking issue, we have to have some of the construction trucks parked there. I think they start early in the morning. I can only say that I've seen maybe 2 trucks parked in, and one is kind of pulled in behind the scaffolding. So that space has to be taken up, and I think it would be for safety reasons also for anybody parking their car there. And we're going to address a lot of the issues a little bit later. This project, there are going to be some imperfections as far as what we need. There are going to be some inconveniences to, I haven't heard from any of the other businesses downtown. I think that most of the businesses are pretty excited to see this happen. And I know, Jeff, we've tried to work with some of his concerns and give him some of the answers to the best of our ability. But this project, I think, will end up enhancing most everybody's business down there. Once it's all cleaned up, once the sidewalk is opened up, it's going to give a whole new look and revitalization to downtown.
If I may just address one thing. I think I've been to your office twice, 3 times over the last year, so we haven't had too much discussion. I think all I would like to do is, if there is an agreement to the trucks, if they're not going to stay where they are, if they're to be not used during the daytime, maybe they could be moved out down the street and park somewhere else. And I'm just being hidden between the staging and the trucks. If they're being used, certainly we can understand that. And in terms of impact from other people, everybody's happy. I'm the one who was in that location over 10 years ago. I'm perfectly familiar with it. I'm very happy to have it looking beautiful, just like other storekeepers have kept up their shop. But I think I'm the most affected. And to that end, that's why I was here, and I thank you.
Thank you. Jeff, do you feel that signage might improve and how we locate it? Will we do it on the staging? Will we do it on someplace special?
Mr. Loomis, it certainly wouldn't hurt at this point. But I can tell you sincerely, business has been appreciably slow since this event. So anything would be a plus. But between the dirt, I know some dirt. Look, you make an egg, and it takes time. But I just have no input. And I live, I don't live just in here. And I'm serious-minded, but it would have to have some impact. Any improvement during the duration. Or if you finish the front, the staging, you can move it down after a month, I mean, there has to be some mechanism to work a little bit better. All right, thank you.
I know there's hard, tough guts parts of construction, and I'm certain that probably a lot of that has already been taken care of. And as far as the dust and dirt goes, I think that goes over a period of time once you start to heal up that building a little bit.
Am I allowed to speak, Mr. President? My name is Bruce Dexter. I'm the owner of 88 Main Street, Putnam.
And I just want to address some of your concerns. Is that Amalek? Is that how you say it?
Yes.
All right.
You call me Jeff.
We approached the Putnam Business Association, certain members of it, and offered for them to use our scaffolding as a billboard, tactfully, hopefully that they're getting a committee together, to put signage up to not only point the directions of business owners, yourself and other restaurants to the left and to the right on Main Street, but to attract business. When people come up the hill, they'll see. So I believe that's in the works, so that should
That'd be a
definitely
great
help out.
idea.
We understand the eyesore of scaffolding and everything else and netting and all that stuff, but again, at the end of the day, 4 or 5 months from now, everybody's going to be pretty happy with it, but it has to continue on. So when this stuff happens, and anybody has a question, and this goes for anybody you talk to, you know, instead of political agendas or whatever else is going on in town, and making big stinks or, you know, waiting till a meeting, pick up the phone and call me. My number's in the book. I will address whatever you need to the best of my ability, and so will contractor, roads construction. Jim will do the same thing, you know. So we're here to make this work for everybody.
Thank you, Bruce. Would there be further public comment this evening? Yes, sir.
How we doing? Dan Lucier, 145 Woodstock Avenue. My concern is the telephone poles on Bull Street in the parking lot. I mentioned it at the April 15th meeting, as a blight meeting. It was brought up then. It's been a month. I'd like to know if any progress has been made or what's happening. Mom's getting a little upset. She's having a hard time getting in and out when there's cars parked behind her. I mean, if you move them up like 4 feet, if you're not going to take the poles out, they need to be taken out because there's asbestos. So they need to be removed. Now, whether or not you're going to put, you know, a barrier up, but it needs to be moved because she's unable, I mean, she's not getting any younger. She's just unable to back the car up.
Dan, truthfully, I'm not sure where we are with that right now.
Of course, we have a lawsuit.
And we have a pending lawsuit now that's been filed against the town. That's in our packet from Mr. Perry.
Does it concern the telephone poles?
Concerns
our activities and the lack of activities in the parking
in the parking lot. So truthfully, I think before I can do anything further, I know we've turned it over to our attorney, Dan Kerma, who handles our insurance for the town. Maybe I can get an answer for you that way, Dan, but like I said, once it's tied up, it's hard for us to do things.
Okay, but this could have been remedied years ago. Not months ago, years ago. And again, it's lack of doing your jobs.
Moving the poles.
You know, I mean, I'm sorry if, you know, the town's getting sued. You know, but
There's a lot that happens in the process as well, Dan.
I understand that, but you know, you shot yourself in the foot. This should have been done the very first time it was brought to your attention, with the fences and everything else.
The lawsuit had nothing to do with the fence.
Okay,
Nothing
but
to do with the telephone pole.
then the poles can be moved then.
It has everything to do with people parking in the parking lot.
But the poles can be moved. If it has nothing to do with the poles, move the poles. Because there's an environmental hazard. And that's gonna be a whole other ball of wax.
Well, this, I think, was mentioned before, until we can find money in the budget to put a different barrier up. We need some sort of barrier between cars and this man's property. And the best we can do for now is those telephone poles. We can try to
So it's
have...
okay, so you're gonna contaminate the ground because this guy's whining. You mean there's nothing else
No.
why don't you put up a wind fence? Cyclone fence, little wind fence.
They're not free, Dan. I don't know if you recall
Well,
the
will
difficulty
it-
there was trimming the budget down
Will
to
the telephone
the
pole
bill
free?
increase we have.
Will the telephone pole free?
I don't know, but they're there right now. And we can see about having them moved back, but there's not going to be, if I have any say in it, there's not going to be no barrier between cars and a man's property. I don't care whether
But
it's,
a wind,
it's
you
that
can't,
man or someone
you
else.
can't tell me a wind fence is that expensive. You can't tell me to put up a small little fence that runs, that would take the place of the telephone pole. It's gonna cost you that much money.
Again, let me check legally, what we can and can't do before it's really hard to give you an answer at this point. We can legally move those polls. We'll see if we can't get it on the agenda to do that.
Okay.
Be happy to do
All right,
that.
I'll wait for it.
Dan, how long has the pole been there? 10 years or more?
I don't know if they've been there that long, I don't know if they've been there that
20
long.
years they've been there?
I don't know if they've been there that, I don't think they've been there that long.
10 years probably.
I don't know if it's even been 10 years.
Pete, do we have any barriers like they go on
Jersey barriers?
No, we don't.
Jersey barriers?
We've looked into that.
Yeah,
Where did they get the ones they used for the burnouts down there? Some of the barriers.
They're not ours.
I thought the town put those in.
No, I don't think they're ours, John.
What about
They make our
removing the poles and putting it dirt berm? We have dump trucks, we have dirt. You get a berm, right around your berm.
It's cheaper to put in a cyclone fence.
Yeah.
Probably we should look into just putting in a 4-foot
Right,
cyclone fence. We know it's surveyed, we got an
Yeah.
A2 survey.
Right, you can put it right on, you have it surveyed, you can put it right on the line, it's dead,
You know
it's
what,
done.
maybe
Let's
that's,
put the other side of it there.
Yeah, well,
Enough trouble.
maybe we should just get,
Yeah, if we can take a but let me do some more checking for you, Dan, to see what I can and can't do, before we go ahead and do something that, gets us in a little, gets us in trouble, but also, we can check into the cost of what it would cost for cyclone fencing and see if Jerry has any money, any place to do that.
So what kind of, do you want a fencing that stops vehicles, or do
Right,
you want
that's the
fencing
question.
that
I think-
is
well, I don't think you need a
a
fencing,
barrier?
I don't think you need a barrier, I think you don't need a fence that stops people, I think you just need to define.
I'm talking about
I want something
that will
that'll-
stop a
that'll
car
start
from
the
going
car,
into
yeah.
a house.
Yeah, yeah, I want something that'll at least slow a car if it's getting too close. Nothing's gonna stop it entirely, but,
It's not like there's a highway running through there, but it's a parking lot, so you could put a cyclone fence.
right,
But I'll check into it a little bit more, Dan.
Thank you.
We'll do.
Yeah.
Any further comments, public comments? Yes, sir.
Doug Cutler Jr., 36 Edmund Street. I have a couple of concerns with the town's end of involvement at 88 Main Street. Nothing with what Mr. Dexter has done. I actually like the fact that there's work going on there. As far as the town's involvement, the concerns that I have are when the issue came out a week or two ago about a permit being paid for or not paid for. There were two reasons that were floated out there by town officials. One of them was that there was an email that had been circulated in years past by the previous mayor saying that the fees would be waived. Now, number one, the first question I have with that is, can a mayor simply on his own, without any vote from the Board of Selectmen as a whole, waive such a fee? And two, the other reason that I heard in the local news media was the fact that we had town officials calling this 88 Main a municipal project. And I'm just wondering how 88 Main Street could have been considered to be a municipal project. In fact, I saw that in the local media, in fact, from Delaware. So, being someone who's in the middle of a municipal project trying to build a fire station, I know what a municipal project is. I also know what it isn't. And again, casting nothing disparaging against the work that Bruce Dexter's doing, this is just a town-centric question. How can we call a private enterprise a private project, a municipal project? How can that possibly be confused in any way, shape, or form? So those are my two concerns.
Thank you, Doug.
We supposedly have an email where the previous mayor waved a magic wand and said that the fees would not be paid. Two, another reason for the fees not being paid, that this would be a municipal project. I have questions about both. Can a mayor do that on his own? B, how could this have ever been confused as a municipal project? Thank you.
We'll get there under 11B, but thank you, Doug. Yep. Further public comment?
Excuse me. Mayor, please. I'm not familiar with the goings on here. We comment on that during the public, during the meeting and
We're
stuff,
going
or
to, yeah,
comment
Bruce,
now?
I know just to move the meeting along, I says, we're going to have opportunity under 11B to comment on the project.
Thank you.
Further public comment this evening? Thank you all. Item 4 is approval of minutes. In your packet, you have the minutes from the May 6, 2013 Board of Selectmen meeting. What will be your pleasure?
Motion to approve is presented.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Discussion. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed? So carried. Under petitions, item 5 is petitions and communications. Later, is a letter dated May the 3rd, 2013 from Will Brigger regarding a request for a minor permit amendment. And you do have that in your packet. Item B is a letter dated May the 10th, 2013 from Will Brigger regarding 60-day exceedance and notification report. Again, a copy of that letter is in your packet. Would there be questions pertaining to either item?
Yes, I see that they brought up the pH level up to 12, which really makes sense when I read all the reports. Now they won't be found at fault for going over 1 millionth of a percentage, which is crazy, but I think that this is going to address the questions I've had previously. This letter that they're looking to up the pH count,
It's item 5B, Denise. Yeah.
so that's one good
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, I saw that and read through it. Thank you, Barney. Further questions? Item number 6 is reports of standing committees. Unfortunately, Alan's not here. Deb, can you give us a
I'm
overview of
prepared
where we are?
to bring to the committee for their recommendation both the MS4 draft ordinance and the water and sewer ordinance with clause provisions. It's just a matter of scheduling a meeting of the General Government Committee. 2 members here. Why don't I hold some dates
Okay.
and run by with them.
Very good. Thank you, Doug.
And the codification, I'm going through the not the changes, but the work that had been done by the General Government Committee. And there are certain things that are old city ordinances, so before we make any changes in terms of that, I'm going to be referring them to the Special Service District for their review to get their input as to whether they have any desire to keep some of these ordinances in place and then having them codified as town ordinances.
Sure. Very good, Doug. Questions of Doug? Thank you.
You're going to email us dates?
Yes.
Thank you, Doug.
You're welcome.
Reports of special committees. Item 7A is Wheelwright Contract Review Committee update.
If it's the pleasure of the board, can this be something that you'd like to go into an executive session at the end of the meeting?
Yes. Would I need a motion to do that?
Yeah.
So moved.
Second.
Could we put it in, because there's 2 things relating to property negotiations. One is the Wheelwright situation, and the other one is the ground lease, and the other one is the meter.
Yeah.
So,
Both these are items, right?
right.
Remember
Yes,
right?
yes.
They're on there, right?
They're both items on.
So
the
item 11,
7A and 11A.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
So the motion is to go on executive session for both items. I have a motion, I second.
Yes.
Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, so carried.
And that'd be at the end.
Yeah.
That'll be at the end, yes. Item 7B is Charter Revision Study Committee update.
I'm sorry. We're trying to get back on track, and probably within the next, I would think it would be the second week in November, second week in June, we try to get back on track with the Charter Study Revision Committee. I'll be away in Washington on the first week in June, but after that, I'd like to see if we can get
Move it along, yeah.
some meeting dates.
Now, are we going to set it, what night? We can't set it.
We won't set it the same night as the school building committee, because you're going to be very busy.
Yeah.
So we'll make sure that we,
Yeah, keep me busy 3 nights a week.
In addition to that,
Yeah.
one other thing.
Item 8 is Economic and Community Development Report. Ethel, please.
Sure. Under the redevelopment agency, the community development block grant for 2012, a total of 29 applications have been extended to interested parties, with a total of 10 completed applications received back. Under the 2013 application, we submitted it for the April 5th deadline. This is for the request for $400,000 for housing rehab, with a decision to be made in July. As Fair Housing Officer, Jackie LaFave attended the annual Fair Housing Conference in Rocky Hill to be informed of new compliancy regulations, and I know she gave I think a one-page report to our town administrator. 3 requests have been received for the subordination of loans during people wanting to refinance. We are going through the financial documentation with the mortgagee companies now. Under Economic and Community Development, the Municipal Brownfield Pilot Program, a meeting was scheduled and met on May 17th with the Mill Development Manager, CME Associates, and the environmental team to discuss the survey results and implications, abatement work plan, the status of the application of the National Register nomination, the demolition plan, and the status of the flood management certification. Letters of support are being requested from town entities in support of the Chance 3 application for funding. 88 Main Street facade program, scaffolding is up, debris netting has been in place, a demolition permit has been obtained, and work continues for removal of windows, roofing, and non-essential materials. We await the decision from the Board of Selectmen regarding waiving permit fees. Under the Palo property, legal access to the property is being considered now that the property is in the trust. Legal counsel and the attorney for the trust are working on notice for gaining legal access to the property. When we know how to get the legal access, then the bidding process begins. Under the STEEP program, the NECOG regional engineers submitted design plans and estimated budget for the Providence Streetscape sidewalk extension. The surveyor will be completing the survey this week, and the information will be submitted to Connecticut DOT for determination of easement. Should any funds be left from the original grant, the parking spaces will be lined at the farmer's market. Under the Ag Viability Grant Program, the Connecticut Main Street Center, we have just sent out the RFP for that project, and I think I gave a June 14th date for returns. Industrial park updates. We are in the process of working with a small manufacturing firm who would like to build a 17,000 square foot building. The available lots in the park were not conducive to his price range because of excessive site work. Other lots in the Putnam area are being reviewed for potential sale in the near future. Another business in the I-Park is working with a civil engineer for possible expansion, which would probably double the size of their building now. Park Tributes, Lot 5-1, has completed preliminary site work and has the foundation in place. He should be moved into his location by early fall of this year. IHOD proposed zoning regs. The changes, all zoning text amendments passed for the IHOD regulations allowed for a more seamless process, efficient build-out development, and shared parking allowances. The Economic Development Commission has just approved the procedural element for the Cargill Falls Mill, that the property is historically and architecturally relevant, as the project will be placed on the National Register for application. Community Garden. In our first full growing season of the Robert R. Johnson Community Garden, all ground beds have been adopted. 11 of the 12 raised beds have adopted, so it's a tough thing, but we need to expand the community garden. Because more of the gardeners actually who are there would like more space. Farmers Market, the office has been gearing up for Saturday market to begin on June 22nd. The Monday and Thursday markets have begun with double value coupons, and the fresh fruits and vegetables begin in late June. CGI Communications will be visiting Putnam in October to update our community video program. They were out here, I think maybe 3 years ago, and there is a video of everything in town, businesses, schools, homes, values, that kind of thing, and they are coming back to update. I had asked that they wait until October. And the video marketing tool will showcase Putnam and engage viewers in learning about area attractions, economic development opportunities, quality of life, etc. The town will assume no cost or liability for this project. Grant proposals that we're waiting for is still the OPM Main Street Investment Fund and the EPA Brownfields Coalition for Mill Redevelopment. This is the one that Killingly wrote for the three towns of Killingly, Putnam, and Thompson. And we were just informed that we did not get that grant. That was for, I think, 5 mill projects. For attendance, I attended the legislative breakfast, CLMP Yankee Gas annual business meeting, and the Achieve Mentor Norwalk conference calls.
I'm going to get back to you, Delphin, in just a moment, but we have to adjourn to go to town meeting. So I need a motion on the floor to adjourn our Board of Selectmen's meeting to go to town meeting. So moved. Motion, do I have a second? Second. Discussion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, so carried. I'm going to read it fast. If you would kindly read the call of the meeting, please. I call to order the Town of Putnam notice of special town.
Town of Putnam notice of special town meeting, May 20, 2013. The electors and citizens qualified to vote in the town meeting of the Town of Putnam, Connecticut are hereby notified and warned that a town meeting of said town will be held at the Putnam Town Hall Selectmen's Chambers, 126 Church Street, Putnam, Connecticut, on Monday, May 20, 2013, at 7:30 o'clock in the evening for the following purposes. 1. To choose a moderator for said meeting. 2. To determine the wishes of those present and eligible to vote at town meeting of the Town of Putnam upon the following proposed resolution. Be it resolved by the town meeting of the Town of Putnam that the proposed dog park located at 18 Kennedy Drive shall be designated as Putnam Lions Memorial Dog Park. Site plan is available for review at the Mayor's office during normal business hours. Dated at Putnam, Connecticut, this 10th day of May, 2013. Town of Putnam. Richard C. Place Mayor. Alma D. Morris, Deputy Mayor. Richard A. Loomis. Owen A. Tarr. Renee C. Lasco. Norman B. Sinay. John S. Smith, its Board of Selectmen. Attest Sarah J. Sinay, Town Clerk.
First order of business is to choose a moderator for said meeting. Yes, sir.
I nominate Norman Sinay.
Second. I have a motion and a second to nominate Norman Snett. Would there be any further nominations?
Motion to close nominations.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to close nominations. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? So carried.
Okay.
All those in favor of Norman Snett?
I'm not even going to vote for myself.
Say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? So carried.
Thank you. See, my wife couldn't make it tonight. I'm just going to read be it resolved by the town meeting of the Town of Putnam that the proposed dog park located at 18 Kennedy Drive should be designated as Putnam Lions Memorial Dog Park. Site plan is available for review at the Mayor's office during normal business hours. We are now open for discussion on this. First, I need a motion to accept.
So moved.
Need a motion to approve?
Approve.
So moved.
I need a second. A second. It's now open for discussion. Is there any people that would like to talk about this? Any members of the Lions? We got 1,000 members of the Lions. Please, at least somebody say something.
Studio, 69 Hawkins Road. I do have a prepared text if anybody's willing to listen. Lions are representative of the largest service organization in the world. Lions rightfully are associated with the treatment and prevention and cure of blindness throughout the world, but it goes well beyond that. On the local level, the Putnam Lions support over 30 charities ranging from Little League to Daily Bread. Putnam Lions purchased the first local ambulance, gives thousands of dollars annually to programs at Naperville Hospital. Award scholarships to local high school graduates, provide eye exams, glasses, hearing aids, and conduct local health screenings to those who would otherwise not be able to afford them. Putnam Lions past and present have served the town as the mayor and on boards and commissions, striving to make this community an outstanding place to live. When it comes, to our connection with dogs, the Putnam Lions have had a long history in support of the Fidelco Guide Dog Foundation, have supported the National Education for Assisted Dog Services, commonly known as NEEDS, and has raised $13,000 for that program over the last 4 years. Individually, many local Lions are pet owners who recognize the therapeutic value of pets, especially dogs, and have worked along with the Putnam Recreation Department and other community members to help develop a safe environment for dogs to exercise and people to socialize. The memorial aspect of the park allows residents to honor people and pets living, loved, and lost, thus aiding in the grieving process and providing warm and wonderful memories. For these reasons, the Putnam Dog Park Donation Committee supports naming the new dog park the Putnam Lions Memorial Dog Park. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Here, no further discussion. All those in favor of naming the Putnam Lions Memorial Dog Park in Kennedy Drive, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Caught me off guard, going like, what? Yeah, for those happy endings.
I do. I'm not running for mayor.
Chase them away.
Anytime you want to, let us know.
Okay.
Yes, for a while. Motion to reconvene at 7:37 p.m. John Smith, second by Mr. Loomis.
Hello, see you.
All those in favor say aye.
Mr. Mayor, the motion that you
Well,
entertained,
we had
that
to do
was
anything else.
also second, was to adjourn the Board of Selectmen meeting, not to recess.
See you later.
My error. I appreciate that, Doug. Very much.
I tried catching your attention, but
Read back.
It was to be, I'm sorry, it was to adjourn. Board of Selectmen meeting.
I thought it was to adjourn to town meeting, was what someone said, which isn't properly stated, but it was.
Just amend the motion to adjourn.
Yeah, just
That's all.
the motion. Thank you, Doug. Appreciate that.
And all in favor of that amended motion? Aye.
We had a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Did we do that?
I
Yeah,
need
the
the
motion.
To reconvene?
We reconvened. Delta, put you back in the hot seat. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we had our town meeting. Would you have anything further to say?
No, that's the conclusion of my report.
Would there be questions of Delta?
Delbert, on the municipal brownfield, how long before we start moving on that project?
They're hoping to start the residential portion in the spring of 2014.
About the abatement?
They're still working on that,
The demolition and
plan.
abatement?
That's all in a plan. That should be, I don't know when it's going to start, but all that has to be done before.
Prior to any building?
Absolutely. Because the abatement and the demolition will be worked in concert.
With the with the updating of the mill itself, adding apartments and stuff?
No, they have to do the abatement and the demolition
Demolition
before they
first.
can start
That's what I
that.
thought.
But those two parts of the work plan will be done simultaneously.
Okay, but did, how much of a grant for that one, 500,000 abatement?
500.
And is that, have we signed any intent in regards to that with the landowner?
I don't understand your question.
has it been, I haven't looked, how far along are we with that grant? In other words,
All the assistance agreements and
Yes.
everything? Oh, those were completed quite a while ago.
okay,
Yes,
that's what I meant.
yeah.
Polo property, how are we doing on that, other than moving
It's-
slowly?
It's in the attorney's hands right now. DEP is completely on board. We have to just wait for access and do the bidding process.
Because we already did we already had them look at the engineers going in there and check for
Right.
any hazardous, that's all been done.
We already have an environmental
Environmental study
report.
done.
That's correct.
See how easy it was tonight?
Yeah.
So far, thank you.
Anyone else, questions of Delphi? Thank you, Delphi. Item 9 is building official, CEO report. In your packet, you have a report from the post. If you have questions of Lee and you want to pass them along to me, I'd be happy to give you an answer. Is Lee not required to come to these anymore? I think you asked him for a report, John. I don't think he's, if we thought that we needed him to come in, I'd certainly ask him, and he would come here. Item 10 is town administrator's report. Doug?
If you're provided a copy. First item on my list is the emergency management symposium that I attended with emergency management director Ed Perrin. It was sponsored by both the State Department of Homeland Security and our conference municipalities. And they covered a whole host of relevant emergency management issues. And we had an opportunity to meet with other municipal officials and emergency management directors, and a lot of vendors that are involved in the emergency management field providing various types of equipment. For instance, generator providers that were there in attendance, and we got some good information for the possibility of us being able to receive some grant money to put generators in the emergency operations center, at our shelter at the middle school, with one other location. But the possibility of being able to use grant money to acquire generators. There were excellent sessions on providing school security and also ensuring cybersecurity, which is becoming increasingly a problem for municipalities, and how we can protect against possible hacking risks of town websites and our service, which could cause a major disruption of services to our citizens. One of the things I picked up in terms of the school security issue is now that the school building project is going forward, now is the time to get consultants, and the state police has a two-member team that will come out and do a quick run-through in terms of the building and provide you with and the possibilities of there will be very low-cost ways of being able to improve security. And that's something that I will bring to the building committee for them to possibly take advantage of. The Board of Finance, I attended a special meeting of the board to hear the presentation from Grant Thornton on the results of our fiscal year ending June 30th, 2012 audit. And the board also voted to retain the services of the accounting firm Mahoney & Sable for their audit year ending June 30th, 2014. I'm sorry, certainly it is 2013. And Mahoney & Sable is basically the people that were involved with CCR before they were merged with Grant Thornton. So it's the people who had successfully been working with the town in the past, and now they've gone off and they've brought the entire municipal audit group over to this other firm. And so Board of Finance felt quite comfortable in terms of retaining their services, that we won't have the overriding issues in terms of how long it took in terms of reviewing the various process that it took in terms of reviewing our website and the various layers of bureaucracy that they had to go through within the Grant Thornton organization. Meetings attended, I did attend the Library Building Committee, the regular meetings of the PCA, and I did convene a senior management staff meeting. Cost Day, unfortunately, something had come up and I was unable to attend Cost Day at the Capitol, so I really can't report on anything that happened there. Pride, I attended a monthly meeting with Pride, Drug-Free Coalition, and appeared on Winnie just this past Monday to promote the message about the dangers of underage drinking, and this is in anticipation of prom season. So whenever we appear on Winnie, it's on a quarterly basis, and we try to have a theme, and this theme again is safety for students in anticipation of prom season, and hopefully to avoid drinking safe and accident-free policies. The other thing I may mention on the program is that as part of our Stop Act grant, is that the police department has gone on to compliance check. Underage drinking is one of two that we'll be doing this year. And also that very shortly, if not already, that there is a permanent prescription drug lockbox that's located in the lobby of the police department, so that people on a routine basis can bring in in addition to the two biannual drug take-back days, can bring their drugs in on a regular basis if they're not being used to the lockbox at the Putnam Police Department. The Quinbarg Regional Technology Park, there's now a draft record of decision, and with Don Johnson, our planner, we have reviewed and commented on the draft record of decision, and this was prepared after completion of the environmental impact evaluation. The record of decision concludes that the project will have both negative and positive impacts to the natural and physical environment, and positive impacts to the social and economic environment due to the increase in employment, construction, and operational output, earnings, and an increased tax base for the town of Putnam and other regional participating towns. And one of the conclusions is that the YMCA will provide citizens with a modern, recreational, and socially important facility. The next steps are to finalize the record of decision, and it will be submitted to the last state agency in the process, which is the Office of Policy and Development, for a final decision. And we're hoping that can be accomplished within the next 30 to 60 days. High School Building Committee, I assisted with providing a draft request for qualifications to advertise for hiring an architect design firm for the next stage of designing the construction plans for the high school for this new project. And I believe, Barney, they're going to be acting on that, or it has already acted. I think you're going out to bid on it.
Thursday night.
You're going to have a
Even Scott remembers.
Yes.
You paid attention, you didn't fall asleep.
The good news is that the building committee can proceed based on the appropriation that was approved at referendum. So it's just a matter, even though we don't have the interim financing in place, we do have the appropriation in place. So within available funds that the town might have available, they can pay for the service of the architect to move forward. And it is likely that those costs, up to the point where the project is approved by the State Department of Education, will be reimbursed, can be reimbursed. And then finally, and I was able to sign up for the Putnam location for Wreaths Across America again. That will be, I think, Barney said December 14th, Saturday, and it will be at noon time. Again, it's in conjunction with nationwide, where wreaths are laid at various locations. We put them up at the Veterans Memorial Park right across the street, and there are locations where the VFW, American Legion, cemeteries, and other locations throughout the town to place memorial wreaths in those locations. But we are all set. I got confirmation of that, so we'll be looking forward to that event again on December 14th. And I asked if there was any chance that they might be coming to Putnam this year. And I can do that. That completes my report.
Questions I got one question on the technology part. The next step, finalize the record decision, submit to the Office of Policy and Development. Now that the zone change has been done over here, right? On the plan of conservation and development, the 5 and 10-year plan, how does the state look upon this? Is this why you have to send this up to them so they would concur? Because that
Actually,
area
that was
wasn't
the first step in the process. We had to go to the state because it was not on the state plan of conservation and development. So we had to go and get an amendment to the state plan of conservation and development approximately 4 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago.
So this is what this is actually
This is the follow-up.
to bring it up.
So we're on both the town's plan of conservation and development, and it falls in line with the state plan of conservation and development as a growth area. But again, there are constraints.
Yeah. Now, is it next year? We're due for that, right? Anyways, 5 and 10-year plan.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
That's something we'll have to put on probably for consideration in our 5-year plan.
Yeah.
To get money set aside.
Right. Thank you.
Doug, on the high school building part of this, I know some years ago they put a ventilation system on that roof, and they charged for a building permit to put that ventilation on. What do we do about the building permits for school? This project.
forget what we did on the school roof project, and waive those?
I think they're waived.
They're waived.
Yeah.
So the school project, this whole school project, we're gonna waive those fees, because it is a municipality.
Yeah.
Right, everything's down. We'd be paying ourselves.
Yeah, well, I understand, I'm just curious, I was just wondering why we charged it the first one, for the ventilation system.
Further questions of Doug?
So we would have to go to the selectmen on a vote for that, to waive those fees, right?
I would say so.
I would say so.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you, Doug.
You're welcome.
Unfinished business, of course, we're skipping A for right now, to go into executive session later. Item B is 88 Main Street waiver of building permit fees. Waiver policy has been attached in your packet. And Doug, if you could maybe overview that with us just a little bit, or Delfer.
Well, you have your applicants here, so I know they did submit a application to seek a waiver from the, in accordance with the policy. So if you'd like to bring the applicants up.
Sure, if you just step up to the table, and you're welcome to have a seat, but if you come up here, please. Bruce. We had talked at our last Board of Selectmen's meeting. Doug Cutler Jr. had asked a few questions this evening pertaining to what had happened in the past and what was said. Maybe Delphi can chime in and give us an update to where things are.
Do you want me to start it off?
I think the important part, Delphi, is there being understanding of the thought process that went behind the possibility of those fees being waived.
Sure. The policy was written in 1999, clearly supports the 88 Main Facade Improvement Project as allowable. Based on the criteria adopted by the town, from the former leadership, we need to either look at and follow those judgments. There has been stated concern regarding setting precedents with future privately owned revitalization projects that may be forthcoming in Putnam, and this was talked about at the last Selectmen's meeting. How lucky we are to have such a challenge. It is the responsibility of the Board of Selectmen to review each project individually based on the criteria that policy allows to waive such building fees. Because each project will and should be reviewed on its own merit, and based on policy criteria, you have the ability to treat all projects separately should they come before you. The 88 Main project is unique. The funding for a portion of the work was given to the municipality by the state of Connecticut as an urban action project to bring back underutilized buildings to their original state and to build stronger communities. The funding was given to the town to restore this building for exactly that purpose. An important message for me is to stress that this project is not about who owns the building. It is the building itself, the bricks and mortar, and what it brings to our community. The popularity of this project is like none I've ever seen. As a building once deemed unsafe and structurally unsound by the town approximately 16 years ago, we now have the ability and opportunity to support the project and the building being alive again by waiving the building permit fee of approximately $3,900. I clearly see this as a partnership. It is well known and documented that Mr. Dexter is responsible for the building permit fees over and above the grant award that was given to the municipality. In the Visions 2020 community conversation sessions, it was clearly voiced by community leaders, business people, and residents alike that a priority for our town should be to enhance the status of our underutilized buildings into more productive use. And they also wanted better sidewalks. We have a property owner who understands the challenges of the property and still continues to move forward. From the seat of economic and community development, one of my main focuses is to bring back life to underutilized buildings, our historic mills, lighted and contaminated brownfield sites, vacant buildings, many that have endured arson fires, and commercial core development. Revitalization becomes a critical strategy for creating sustainable development for our next generations. And in the grant, and I know many, there have been many questions about the municipal status of this project. The municipal status, in my eyes, in coming to the Board of Selectmen, and is really that portion of the project, that $350,000 that we are using for the actual part of the construction, not construction, the facade only, is that it was a municipal grant given to the municipality. I may be clearly wrong on that, but clearly Mr. Dexter realizes that added above expenses that aren't included in construction that goes on now is on his dime, and to build out the inside.
Delbert, I just wonder if you could clarify the rumors, I guess you call them rumors, in regards to what may have happened in the past, or was there anything that was presented in the past that you're aware of?
Not to my knowledge. That was something that I had heard of an email going back with the former mayor. I can't speak to that. I can't speak to what Bob had ever said. I just have to take the project and moving it forward now.
Bruce, I guess I'll propose the same question to you, because it does.
My recollection of what took place is, well, first of all, the minute we purchased the project, I had a call on my cell phone from somebody that had never called me before, and it was Mayor Beans, thanking me for taking this project on and undertaking what was going to come up, being a difficult project, stating that anything that we needed the town to help, to help us move this thing along, please feel free to call. It wasn't too long after that, as we started getting things moving, he was just about to be leaving office, to you, coming in as mayor, that we had another discussion, and he said that from what his opinion of what this project was and the criteria that it fell under, was that the building permit fees would end up being waived by the town of Putnam. And I hope that helps you with your project. One more little shot in the arm to make this thing move. Okay, there was no, and what I believe at this time is he was referring to is the document that I attached to our letter requesting this waiver to be, to have these building permit fees waived, which is the December 6, 1999 letter from Bowling St. Ange.
Mr. Dexter, I look upon you as a businessman and somebody that's bringing a lot to the community. I've heard nothing but good things about you and the gentleman sitting next to you from the building inspector. But I feel, this is just my personal feeling, there's been other projects where grants have been given and they had to pay the building fee. And I'm afraid we're going to set precedents for us, okay? And that's why I would vote against it. It's not anything personal. It's not to have anything. It's just that I don't want to set precedent as a selectman because there's other projects previously and going forward that haven't been waived their building fee. And I just don't want to set precedent. I can't thank you enough for coming to the community and doing the work that you're doing. And but that's just me, okay? And I want you to know that right up front. I have nothing personal against you or your company. And I think you're doing a lot for the community, but I don't want to set precedent because of other projects and previous projects. I have heard from a couple of business people that if we do this, they're going to ask for a refund on what they did on their grants. So that's why I'm going where I am. Second thing, it's to you, Delfer, and whoever. When we had a meeting 2 weeks ago, we weren't advised that this fee was waived prior to the meeting, and I was unaware of it. And I don't know who on this board was aware that that fee was waived when we were discussing it 2 weeks ago. But, well, there's people that had to know because I didn't know, and we had to get the information the following day. If there's, as far as I'm concerned, no individual except this board has the right to waive fees, and no individual has a right to go beyond their scope of duties without following proper procedures and protocol.
Can I answer that?
Sure.
The first time that I saw that policy from 1999 was when Doug gave you all a copy at the last selectmen's meeting. That's the first time I ever saw that policy. The reason I wrote it into the grant, because I saw it as a municipal project. In any grants or anything else, it was never, and I haven't worked on any grants where building fees have been waived. The building fees for housing rehab are all paid, because that's a totally different project. That is HUD money. And so I don't
It's
know
HUD money,
whether-
but it goes through the Department of Economic and Community Development. That's the
Correct.
pass-through, even though it's HUD money. It goes through the same department that this grant is going through. DECD, this grant money, I think it goes through DECD. If you look at the waiver you sign, it puts DECD on with the town of Putnam. I'll look at it, I got it in my briefcase.
No urban action grants?
Grant for Mr. Dexter, $400,000. It puts DECD, along with the state of Connecticut, as a partner with the town of Putnam. There was previous facade grants that everybody paid their permits. That's the issue on that, okay? And I'm not against anything. I just wish that, I think that now everybody that knows the policy where it sits, now it's up to this board to make the decision.
Delford, does the grant itself allot any funding as far as the fees go? Is there any money in there for, no funds?
No, most of it went to engineering, legal, and the rest is construction, approximately 350. It's just for part of the construction for the facade.
Also, I read the addendum that you gave me, and I can understand where you guys think that the fees are going to be waived. It was in the addendum.
That's correct.
And I totally understand that. I don't like that it was put in there because it shouldn't have been. You do know you have to go in front of other people. You didn't have the authority to put that in there, to waive the fees.
And I did, yeah, I
Who
didn't.
put it in?
I did, but I didn't know about the policy from 1999.
Right, but regardless, whether
Clearly.
the policy or not, that's something that should go through the land use office, and the land use office would say you have to refer that, because they deal with permits, that they would refer that to the selectmen to take care of. So we need to make sure that never happens again. And I understand where you guys are coming from, looking for the fees. Mr. Dexter, you mentioned something earlier about a political reason that some things went on down there this week.
Discussion in the street,
Okay.
their political agendas that are
Actually-
hindering us from continuing forward with our project.
I don't believe that statement.
And we don't want to get caught up in the middle of that.
It's not a political thing that's going on. Both you gentlemen are well-respected builders and do good work. I'm not denying that, and I'm glad you're in this town doing some work. But you both know you don't do projects without permits. You start a project with no permit in hand, whether you get it for free, win it at a poker game, or however you get it. If something, let me finish. If something was to happen while you're working, someone got hurt, there's no building permit, I honestly believe the town of Putnam would be liable to some stuff because they weren't paying attention to what's going on down there. The permit wasn't given to you, so we would be negligent in some way, I'm sure. And our job as selectmen and just as a person in the community is to make sure we protect the citizens of this town against lawsuits and stuff like that.
Currently, yeah.
I think you're wrong. You should get a legal opinion on that, but that's only my opinion.
You don't need a building permit to start a project?
Not necessarily. Not when it's clearly written that I didn't in the bid package.
Well,
Now,
you have
that was
to pay
something
for
the
it,
town
it's
should-
something to happen.
I went down on April 17th and paid the permit fees for everything I was supposed to pay. Did a complete application for a permit.
The money went to the state.
My fees, the one that went to the state.
Right.
You guys and Lee Post were supposed to straighten this out. He told us to go ahead, we can start setting staging. We dragged our feet for weeks. Never heard a thing. I started work 3 days later. I get a stop work order because nobody here could just call up and say, Jim, we're uncomfortable with this, can you guys stop work until we settle
So
this?
Lee told you you could start work. Is what you're
Lee
telling me.
told us we could start the staging. He said you guys are gonna have a meeting on the 6th or something, whatever date you have a meeting.
It would be 2 weeks ago.
And
I don't know. When did you start, by the way?
got 7 days work in that job. The windows are coming in on the 27th of this week. We're already a month behind because everybody's afraid to move because nobody knows who's going to get stabbed in the back next. This is why this couldn't just have gotten settled. When you guys were concerned, calling us.
Wait a minute.
We could have.
Don't say that we stopped anything. That, I take offense to that.
Well,
I
we
never
could've-
called
we could've
anybody to
settled
stop
all
the
this
permit.
without this argument.
Okay. The thing is, let me get something. This is not political. I did not call anybody to stop this work order. I didn't make any contact with anybody.
You're saying political. Let's get that straight.
I'm just saying that I feel the biggest mistake was the fees were waived without this board knowing. And we had to deal with it after the fact. So
But
don't
that's
come to
something
us.
You guys should
look at
deal with
this.
internally, okay? I have a contractor here working on our building that has a bid document that says the building permit fees are waived, okay? He is losing time every single day. And I don't think anybody, meaning the town of Putnam, would want to see his bill. He would win in 2 seconds with a lawsuit because he is not able to keep going until this permit issue gets resolved.
I've never seen anybody start a project without a permit in their hand. I've seen other projects get shut down because there was no permits in hand.
Yep.
You guys have built.
Motion to move the question.
Renee has a question.
Yeah, I was trying to be recognized while discussion was going on over there. John, first of all, earlier, I didn't want to say it at the time because I didn't want to get into the discussion. You were right that I thought we had agreed Lee would be here every 2 meetings the same way Delta is. And right now, I'm really wishing he were here, not just because of this. Right now, this is a really awkward situation. Representations were made years ago. They were written into contracts. They were written into applications. It's a really awkward situation. And I'm sorry you guys are in this, and I'm sorry that you as the contractor are having to deal with this. I understand what this does to your scheduling and labor and all of that. But the reason I wish Lee were here has nothing to do with that permitting issue. It has to do with, I'm curious, how much we actually get in permit fees on projects that are grant funded. You know, I don't mean at what rate. I mean, you know, what percentage of our permits per year are done on grants? I disagree with you in that I don't think it would be unreasonable. Yes, for us to say, if we're going to support you in a grant application, we're going to waive your permit fees. I don't think that would be unreasonable for us to decide to do. But I do wish I knew how much that would be in permit fees over the course of the year, over the course of 5 years. So I really wish Lee were here to deal with that at this moment. So because of that, I guess and because of this, the unique posture of this, with it being written into this application, and representations having been made, I'm an attorney, so representations and reliance are big to me. I feel like whatever we do on this application, it's a unique situation because those reliances were made, whether or not someone had the authority to say fees were waived. I sort of feel like it's it's not a done deal until we say it, but I'll just leave it at we're all in a very awkward situation. But because of that, I feel like what we do here is not setting precedent for future situations. I think maybe from here on out, maybe we need to attach a policy to this or give a copy of this policy to anyone who's applying for a grant so that they know there is this process, but they need to make the application to the Board of Selectmen and we can consider it. But for this, I feel like we're trying to make a good situation out of bad, and they're, yeah, and I don't think it relates to anything going forward.
Doc, where'd you come up with the number 3,500?
350,000 times, it's $11.
When I asked downstairs, they said the permit fee was over 6,000.
That was a total permit,
That
right?
was the total.
I paid for Bruce's part of the state fees and applied for a permit for $549,000 when I came in here. Bruce is putting over $200,000 of his own money into this building.
Right.
The only portion,
And I'm sure everybody knows, the only reason he bought it is because he was getting this grant. Otherwise, he would have never purchased that property, never. That
Oh, I don't
property-
disagree.
That property,
I don't-
you never,
I
ever paid
don't-
for itself.
I
gotta commend him. Really. I've tried things like this in the past, but this one, Bruce has taken on an awful lot there. I don't think that building personally will ever pay for itself.
We did it because it's the town of Putnam, it's our town, and we want to be part of it, as we have in the past and as we continue to be. And like I said, we have bid documents that tell us what to do, we follow those, and if there's internal struggles and stuff going on here, then you guys should figure that out, waive the permit fees. You already have a legal bid document in place. Mr. Rose did not carry those permit fees in his bid, so whether he pays it or I pay it, somebody's going to come after somebody for it and spend a lot of money, and it's wrong. Because I thought I had a partner here in Putnam, and I understand you've got to dot your i's and cross your t's, but if you go back to this application, you'll see that the letter that we have written to the town of Putnam, it meets the criteria for you to waive it anyways. So we're talking about a lot of stuff that may not really mean much.
You know, the thing is, it's too bad because mistakes were made by different people. Policies wasn't followed. It isn't your fault. You're just caught up in the whirlwind, okay? But I have this is just my personal feeling. I have a different opinion of this, of the fees. You just got caught. It could have been somebody else that could have been in your position that was here before us tonight because policy wasn't followed. And you're caught up in it, and it's too bad that you're caught up in it. But I, as a selectman, feel that I have an obligation, and it's just my feeling that the fees should be waived because they were never waived before. Now, this was in '99. We're already in 2013. 14 years this has been in effect, and it's never been done. So this is why I have a concern about adopting. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't have even adopted this policy, but that's no here nor there. But you got caught in something that should have been taken care of at the ground line. People should have followed policy and procedures set down by this town. And we have to follow policies and procedures. If we don't, we shouldn't be sitting in the seat making tough decisions. I apologize for what happened to you and your construction person, but our people failed you. People in our organization, this town has failed you, not us.
I think you have the opportunity now to make it right. There's a criteria that's set in this fee waiver policy. And I don't see one item on there that this project doesn't meet.
I'm not disagreeing with you. It's
And
never been
so
done
if
before.
that's the case, then
I
you
feel,
follow the policy, then it should be okay.
No, you had a question or?
No, I'm Karen, 50 Richmond Road, and Brian also. Mrs. Dexter, and I know you commend you for it today. Thank you. Most importantly, I heard you say something about there's something in the contract documents that waive the fees.
Yes, sir.
I can remember something that says the contractor is responsible for all fees.
Addendum number one clarified two items. The bidders, more than Mr. Rose bid the job. And just so you know, for the record, I'm not the contractor here, although I am a contractor, but this job is bid publicly, and it went out to bid, and I believe there were 6 to 8 bidders that physically put a bid in on the project. We were not allowed to bid due to conflict of interest because of the grant money. So no money flows through our hands as a as an owner, developer, contractor. It goes directly from the state through wherever, at that point, economic development or the town of Putnam, into the contractor, as it has taken place with the architect and engineer. So the Addendum 1 clarified and answered questions that were asked by the bidding contractors. And the questions were, is this project tax exempt? And are the building permit fees waived due to it being a municipal project? So any job that we ever bid as a contractor, and there are state money, federal money, that's tax exempt, there are no building permits because the project, that portion of that project is funded by the state or the federal government, and therefore is a municipal project. Okay, so hopefully that clarifies and answers your question, but it was in Addendum number 1. It wasn't part of the original bid document. And the reason was because it's an odd duck, there's a mix here of private money and municipal money.
Thank you.
And in answer to John's question, the building permit that you came up with, $6,000, the only part that I considered should be waived was only the $350,000 on the construction. Everything between $350,000 and the cost of the project is on Mr. Dexter's.
Okay. You mentioned you thought you had a partner. The town of Putnam went out and sought this grant for you, so you could do this building for $400,000. How many man hours do you have into that project yourself, looking into this, getting the grant, administering it, and doing this type of stuff? There's more than just that. We have time of our economic development person spending on this instead of other projects in town, pushing them for this.
But that's my job.
I understand your job, but
Yes.
it also costs money to do this, right?
Well,
You get a salary, your office has a budget,
Sure.
we also have more money into it, so if you say that we don't waive these fees, you're gonna have a partner in town, I think we did a pretty darn good job of coming up with some money for you to help do this building and man hours in our economic development.
Without a doubt, I totally agree with you that this project would not be happening if it wasn't for Mrs. Berry. Whatever she's done, she's kept her word with everything that she said she was going to do for us. She pushed the grant money through, and now here we are starting to build. So yes, you're right. That's why we jumped into this with the town of Putnam. We wouldn't have done it with anybody else, but we'd like to see it go through. And the resistance that we're getting now over something that to us is cut and dry, we're losing good time and good weather. We have a contractor who is very busy this summer who said he might not even take on any other work because he needs to move on and get stuff done. I'm afraid to lose him. And as Board of Selectmen here, I think you have a responsibility to the town of Putnam to make sure that this gets taken care of and moved on quickly. Otherwise, you put yourself at risk.
We also have a responsibility to the other people who have done projects in this town and put their permit money forward, because I'm hearing the same thing as Bonnie heard. People in different buildings that have spent money and for permits and whatnot, and got some grant money. And as a business myself, I never got a dime to do my business. I paid for every darn permit that came through that door. If someone wants to put a shed on the property in this town, you have to have an engineer come in and say, can go in that corner. Everybody pays permits and everybody pays. So, I'm glad you guys are here doing the project. I'm not against this project. I think it's a great idea to get this building up and going. But we have to be fair to the other people in this town also, who have to pay these fees. You know, people have done facade work, have paid fees.
I would like to make a motion to approve waiving of the fee. I think that was a sore eye in the middle of this town forever. That building was kind of been falling down, and we'd have had to spend a lot of money cleaning it up. So to sit here and worry about $3,900, it's...
Second.
I have a motion and a second to waive the building fees. $3,900, $4,000, is that the
Whatever.
total? Whatever the total
Whatever
is.
the amount is on the grant, want to just put it that way?
Further discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Okay.
So carried.
Has to be two-thirds.
Has to be two-thirds.
I also vote to waive the fee.
No, I just wanted to make sure.
You got it.
Yep.
I take exception to that. The waiver policy fee was voted on back in December 20th, 1999, and a motion was made by Gary Kendall to, if the fees are going to be approved, it's got to be an amendment to vote on the waiver should be unanimous, and it was seconded by Owen Todd, and it was voted unanimous. And I'll enter that into the record.
Unanimous vote?
That's what I mean about following policy in this town. Nobody follows policy. Nothing against you, Mo.
Nothing against us, but we're the ones spending the dollars, sir.
Yes, I
And,
didn't realize that.
And, you know, honestly, it's an eye-opening experience, it really is.
Question's been moved. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Been approved? Been approved, so.
Can't be approved.
Do you need us for anything else later on in the meeting? Thanks.
We may need to refer this to Bill.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we may need to refer this to Bill, our apologies, but for now.
Yeah, we can make
New business, item A is health insurance claims review. Dan, I know you're here. Could you please come forward and address us, please?
Thanks, Mayor. I got to follow that.
Come on over here. Right over here, please.
Does everybody have one?
I think we all.
Take one for yourself.
I got one.
Okay.
Okay, one more for Denise.
Hey, how you feeling?
Yeah.
Is it warm?
Yeah.
Is it, you feel warm?
Yeah. Appreciate following that.
Should be a breeze.
Yeah. You're telling us how much money we have, right?
I've been asked, Mayor and committee members, thank you. I've been asked to speak to an existence of a pool of money, how it grew, how it became what the amount that it is, what it was and what it is now, what it can be used for, what it shouldn't be used for. I don't know what you all know of it, so I'll just kind of start at the very beginning and paint a quick picture for the purposes of the efficiency of this meeting. The town of Putnam came together with the Board of Education and the Special Services District back in the end of the summer of 2006. And I'm speaking historically. Lockton, the company that I work for, consultant Lockton, we were hired in the summer of 2010 to evaluate contracts, advise on fiduciary responsibilities as it all relates to health insurance, health and welfare insurance for the town, Board of Ed, and the Special Services District. So back in 2006, the three entities came together to purchase a single policy contract with Cigna. So under a fully insured arrangement, what that means is you pay the town, the Board of Ed, and Special Services District came together, paid fully insured premiums each month, and Cigna would pay out all of the claims for medical and RX presented to it. Back in the beginning of this contract, when it was established, after the end of that contract, it resulted in a deficit of a little more than $800,000. But you were all protected under that fully insured contract. You didn't have to pay off the deficit, you just roll it forward. The next year, Cigna said, basically, we ate about $800,000, so we're going to hit you with a 20-some-odd%. That year, in 2007 to 2008, was a better year in terms of more premiums paid to Cigna than claims came through. So you started, in theory, to build a deficit, a surplus. In 2008 and 2009, that's when the contract converted. The contract converted to a non-participating contract to a participating contract. And what that meant was if the town, Board of Ed, and Special Services District had a surplus at the end of the year, more money paid into Cigna than claims paid out, then the town, Board of Ed, and Special Services could reap in the benefits of having that surplus grow. There was a cost to convert to that contract, so a $20,000 charge there, and Cigna said in order to convert, we have to address that $800,000 that we accumulated in deficit a couple years back. So whoever was consulting at the time interfaced with Cigna. We had a pool of money at the end of 2008. It paid off the remaining deficit, and you established a premium stabilization reserve of about 400, and it's on slide 5.
460?
Yeah,
460, yes, 511.
Yeah, 460,000. So there's a lot of numbers on that slide. But what ended up happening in that middle column is you see you grew a deficit or a surplus of $788,000, but Cigna looked back historically and said you had the $800,000 deficit with a $400,000 offset. So the difference there, the additional $300,000 was taken to establish that contract. That's how you ended up with the $460,000 in surplus. Okay. You, town, Board of Ed, and Special Services District, unlike other municipalities and commercial accounts, go through claim cycles. So you all can see when you accrue surplus, you're paying out less in claims than you're paying in premium. So that's a good thing. But all underwriting is in a cycle. So eventually that'll catch up to you. And what's happened is in 2008 and 9, you created a surplus. 2009 and 10, you added to that surplus of a little more than $500,000. So the total accumulated dollars that were sitting held at Cigna was a little over $1 million. 2010 and 11, you added more money to that surplus. You had a very good year there too. But subsequently, what you were doing was you were buying down increases in theory. So Cigna was putting out a potential 10% increase. You had an establishment of the surplus. The premium stabilization reserve purpose was to help offset wild fluctuations for budgeting purposes, not just for the town, but for the Board of Ed and the Special Services District. In the last year of that participating contract, July 2011 to 12, you can see the upswing on the cycle where Cigna paid out more in claims than you all paid in premium. So as a result, you accrued almost this time last year, you had a deficit accrued of $651,000. Before the start of that contract, Lockton prospectively negotiated a cap to that deficit. That cap was $467,000. And so Cigna agreed that if they accumulated more of a deficit than $467,000, they wouldn't ask to offset it from the surplus that you had. So that's how you ended up at the close of end of last June with $941,000. I know there's a lot of numbers there, there's a lot of history.
Can I ask you this here? It looks
Absolutely.
like, I was looking at the school budget, and especially in healthcare, and it seems like they anticipated paying the regular premium, but correct me if I'm wrong, Scott, the school saved a lot of money in claims this year. It appears that way at this point. If I look at if I look at what we paid in their claims, it looks like there's a significant savings on the Board of Education part this year. I mean, it doesn't show because, I don't know, do you have the figures up to date where we are?
We do. We track them from a town, special services, and Board of Education perspective. We probably should address that because the figures I'm seeing are a little bit opposite of what I think you're seeing, where the start of July 1st, 2012, you moved from this, you terminated this contract with Cigna, and you moved to a self-funded arrangement with each at Eastern Connecticut Health Insurance. That allowed you to recoup the $941,000, and it became a claim reserve. But with regard to a first year on a self-funded contract, you almost hope to not, for the first 2 or 3 months, to have very low claims coming in, and that allows you to build a reserve on top of that. What's happened is we're pulled together always with the Board of Ed and the Special Services District, almost right out of the chute in July. You started to exceed your claim points versus the theoretical premium payment. So as of now, I'll get this wrong, but I'll be close. But I think you had about 103% loss ratio, meaning you paid in theoretically $100 in premium equivalency premium and paid out 103.
So we get a draw from the surplus to make that difference up, is that what you're saying? At this point, at the end of this year, okay, at the end of this year, we now have $941,000 in surplus. At the end of the year, the rate it's going at, we're going to have to use, we say $100,000, at least $100,000 of that surplus to make us even with just this year.
You might not. Just depends on what happens with the rest of the claim. The next 2 months of claims are lower. That reserve now, claim reserve, is really in theory to protect against spikes in adverse claim. You anticipate a budget of the current cost plus 15%.
Right. I say we keep the 940. I'm not against that. I'm just saying where we are. What do you anticipate by the end of the year that we're going to have to use some portion of that $940,000 to pay off the claims for this year? I mean, the budget ending year June 30. For you, not sure because of the claims.
In theory, yes, you could. In practicality, what happens is you'll just roll into the new self-funding contract here, and if you have your claims are lower, then you offset any need to pull those out, right? Eastern Connecticut Healthcare Coalition Administrator is going to do a reconciliation at year end, so we'll have a better idea of where the town, Board of Ed, and Special Services sat with that. To give you an example about earmarking those funds against budget, we projected back a few months ago what we thought the future costs would be from July 2013 to June 30th, 2014. We thought it was what you're currently paying plus about 19%. If certain aspects of the cost of the program improved, we felt comfortable advising, if you want to go with a current plus 15% for budgetary reasons, we felt comfortable advising to that. And we're seeing positive improvements in the cost of the insurance, like the stop-loss insurance to protect an fiduciary catastrophe. So all of those pieces are coming into play. So we think we're going to rest on that current plus 15 at a good rate, but in theory you peg what we thought your increase was over that to that reserve.
Doug, just a quick question, Doug, on that. I forgot what we budgeted this year. Do you remember what we budgeted? Did we budget a 15% cost in health insurance? Okay,
We set aside $60,000.
Huh?
We set aside $60,000 on the PSR to offset it on the claim reserve.
Scott, you know about the Board of Education? Did they?
I have it on my iPad. I can look it up, but off the top of my head, no.
Okay, no, I just wanted.
Yeah, they budgeted 15%.
I know we budgeted for an increase. I don't know what the increase was.
Yeah.
But I think you were right in saying that the 103, the 103% is trending better than we had in the past.
Yes.
So even though it's more money, the trend is in the right direction.
We hope it goes a little bit better.
Yeah.
The tough aspects are, and believe me, I know we've had a successive few years of really good claims experience to premium paid. You almost get into that expectation that our rates are going to go down. And, it put us in an uncomfortable situation in terms of advising, well, that might be true and it might not be true. we'll see the cycle back. It'll never be at the lowest point that you were, but you'll come back down again. I think it was a prudent financial decision to move, first of all, to purchase the participating contract back in 2008 and 9, because that resulted in $941,000 in surplus that we were all able to recoup and retain. In terms of the municipalities that are part of that healthcare association now, the Putnam Town Board of Ed and Special Services District has the best financial position within the association. The association cannot and is permitted not to use any of those funds. That's right. There is an allocation that I did on slide 3 back the end of 2012. Took a look at the 940,000 or so, and what would be the allocation based on a couple of different factors. One, either the amount of people on the plan, the town employees, versus the overall population of the plan. Or I could take a look at it based on the risk in terms of premium paid in by the town, premium paid in by the Board of Ed, Special Services District versus claims paid out. And I think that's more of a fair perspective on things. And when we took a look at it, the allocation percentage was of the 940, about 70% was for Board of Ed, 18 town, and then 11.6 for special services. That's just based on the health experience of the right. And that'll vacillate at a point in time.
Another question. What, in your opinion, is that 940,000? What would you recommend that reserve at least stay at? In other words, you wouldn't want it to go lower than 940,000 at this point. You know, we had one bad year there. So, would you, as an agent, would you recommend that I would like to see it higher, but what would be a low point that you would say that 940,000? I wouldn't go any lower than, we'll say 800,000. I mean, what would be your?
I like seeing it where it is. So let me give you kind of a pictorial in terms of maybe why. Maybe I can explain that. Yeah, on the last page, there's no violation of private health information here. It's just an aggregation of folks on the plan, individuals that have exceeded $25,000 in claims or more in a given year. And as you can see, working left to right in those years, back in 2008, 2009, when things were really good, based on your overall claims, you had about $584,000 of the total claims were generated by 9 people on the plan, which accumulated to $584,000. If you jump to 2011-12, when you terminated the contract and you had that bad year, you had 20 people that had more than $25,000 in claims each that generated almost $1.5 million in and of themselves. Through 10 months of the self-funded program that we have now, we have 16 folks that have generated about 1.2. So you're on track, I would guess, to end the large claim picture this plan year at around 1.4, 1.5 million. And that makes me, well, I can't predict large claims, I can't predict cancers or heart attacks or premature babies. But what we can do to offset that is build your reserve. And that's why I was hoping when we move to the self-funded platform, claims would be minimal for the first couple of months so you could build the 940 thicker so you have that flexibility. The 940 I feel is adequate. I hate to see it depleted, but it's there for the usage, in my opinion, to protect against the adverse selection of
You answered all my questions.
You were in my line of sight.
Dan? Further questions of Dan?
If I may just say, if you do think of some things afterwards, you drive home, go through the questions through Doug, I'd be happy to answer them.
You mean when I'm sitting at a bar having a cocktail?
Yeah.
I'm gonna drive home now.
Thank you, Dan.
Thanks, Dave.
Item B is a bid award, catch basin cleaning.
We avoided, no, that's right. Sorry.
And in our packet, Jerry has made some recommendations. The recommendation that he made is he recommended the catch basin and cleaning bid be awarded to New England Sweeping and Catch Basin for the price of $14.50 per basin. What would be your pleasure?
So moved.
Second. A motion and a second discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, so carried. Another bid award, item C, is construction equipment rental. And again, in your packet, let's catch up with it.
So moved.
SAS, I believe, is,
Yeah.
without finding it in front of me, SAS was the recommendation. Have a motion and a second discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, so carried. In your packet, we have a proclamation that we're asking for approval of. It will be celebration of WINY Radio 60th anniversary celebration. Would I have a motion to approve that proclamation?
Second?
A motion and a second discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, so carried. Item E in your packet, state disposition of surplus property, 380 Pomfret Street, which is the Dempsey Center portion. We've provided some information in your packet. There's some property that is going to be offered to the town of Putnam first before it goes out to sale. Doug, I believe that you did a walkthrough of the property.
Don Johnson did. And
Done.
basically what the property that they're disposing of, there's a number of buildings on the property. There's the larger building which is interconnected, and there's the flower shop, there's two cottages, and then there's farther up west on Palm Street up the hill, there's used to be a private residence that they use for various purposes. They are planning to retain 2 acres of the site fronting on Palm Street, and it will be basically in the location of the front building, which is the office classroom building, and the
Garden shop.
garden shop. The remainder buildings, including the building that is connected to it, the 2 cottages, and the private, what was used to be a private home, and approximately 17 acres will be disposed of by the state of Connecticut as surplus property. And as per state regulation, they have the option to offer that to the municipality first. We wanted to, before we would move anything further on this, we wanted to get the guidance of the Board of Selectmen to determine if it's worth our while to pursue, have staff pursue anything further in terms of doing any further due diligence in terms of the property.
Doug, the pecking order is the municipality before the regular state agencies?
Yeah. Because the property is located within the town.
Yeah, they gotta give the municipalities the first shot at it, then the other state agencies come in. It sounds, but that's because we live in the town, excuse me, it's located.
And I have a map here, Google map that will show you, I did in black, what's there, hoping to retain, and the remainder would be disposed of.
This whole area?
Right.
I copied that out, but that's all I did.
It's prime property because it's where it is, and the fact that it borders Kimball High School.
Yeah. So, the documents we have appraisal values, but do we have any sense of what the
No,
state?
the appraiser hired by the state was out there, the walkthrough that Don Johnson went on, did not heard back as to the price. So we can wait until the appraisal's done.
Do we have any feeling as to whether it would be close to appraised value or
I don't.
heavily discounted?
It'd be heavily discounted, but there's a lot of buildings up there. We got
Take a look.
We can't take care of buildings, we got,
We
how are
got buildings.
we gonna take care of more
We have
at this
enough.
point?
But it puts us on notice.
Yeah, but I think it's, I think it's nice that the state did it, but I think that, like I said, we can't, we're having trouble taking care of our own buildings. I don't see us getting into any, this is just, I can't see us getting into anything more, with these buildings, even though,
If we were to acquire them, what do we have for obligations so we can't dispose of them? Can we immediately, or is there obligations that we have to
Well,
maintain?
it all depends on how you set up the process with the armory. We determined that it would only be used for municipal purposes, but in something like this, you might want to determine whether there's economic relevance, so you can control the parcel, to ensure what you get.
if that was the case, it'd be like the state hospital in Preston, maybe there'd be something to look at that point, but other than that,
Don says the properties are pristine and maintained, immaculately, so.
Have they done any environmental impact studies?
Once the appraisal is back, I'll pass the appraisal along to you guys as well. But just put you on notice.
yeah, I think it's just to take it over, but some of them questions should be asked if we're gonna negotiate with the state. And that's a good point, that, if we bring it over into economic, like Preston did, can we use it to develop,
Well, yeah, do you want to control the property and
yeah,
its uses in the future?
its uses, put doctor's office in there or something like that, where it'd be taxed, now we're making taxes on it, then it makes sense,
Yeah.
So there's still a consensus here that there's, let's maintain.
I think there's an
continue
interest.
to look at it
Yes.
until we have
Yeah.
further information.
Yeah.
Based on what information we have in hand.
Hey Doug, you said what's in
The
black?
black is the separation of the building and the land that they're going to maintain.
Oh, and
retain.
everything else in the back?
Yes,
they
they're
wanna get rid of.
even the interconnected building is going to be separated.
Okay,
Just a walk.
okay.
It's a walkway,
Can I have this piece of paper?
right? I wanted to make more copy, but something
Yeah,
blew up our machine.
I'll tell you what, I'll have to wait, I'll wait for the rest of us to get copies.
Special?
Yeah, they got special.
I can copy it in color and send it out.
Put it on our next packet.
Yeah, put it in the next packet, there's no hurry. I'll just put this aside.
Item F is approval of all bills. Do I have a motion to pay bills? So moved. Second. Have a motion and a second. Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, so carried. All other business to lawfully come before such meeting, or to be further business. Thank you all.
I move that we,
Motion.
executive session. Oh, is that before? Okay,
Yeah.
sorry.
Item 13 is public comment. Yes, sir.
Doug Cutler Jr., 36 Edmund Street. Given the activities tonight concerning waiving fees for building permits, things like that, just wanted to give a very quick update on our project out on Route 44 for the new fire station. We do have a schedule, a timeline to go ahead and start the construction phase of that project. The first part in that timeline is actually on Wednesday, where we send the project out to bid. Now, given what happened here tonight, what I'd like to do is officially ask, on behalf of the East Putnam Fire District, to get put on the agenda to have our building permit fee waived for that project, given that it truly is a municipal project for public safety infrastructure. Okay?
Thank you, Doug.
I have a question, can I ask you?
Yes.
Have we ever heard anything about that $500,000 grant yet?
That's
No, have you heard anything
DOA.
about that?
They said it was going to be, could be as late as even the end of the fiscal year.
So we're still in the.
We're still in the mix. Yeah, there's, I forget how many there were like a third only awarded, and I think there's still like 2/3 up in the air.
I'm not holding my breath.
Is there any way we can check on the status at all? or-
I'll check on the status again tomorrow.
I appreciate that, thank you.
Pete, who do we want the written request for the waiver to go to?
I can give you one.
Yeah, the only question is who they should be addressed to, so we know,
Yeah, I think
for anyone in the future, not just
It should be addressed
think we ought to clear this policy up that's been addressed here, because it's, there's obviously some questions. As of the vote tonight, motion by Gary Kendall to recess the town meeting, where is it? Motion by Gary Kendall to approve the fee waive policy with an amendment that the vote on the waiver be unanimous. Second by Owen Carr, voted unanimously. So what you guys just passed, I don't think was legal. Because you seconded it, it got voted on, and it was unanimous, that it had to be a unanimous vote by the board.
Let them.
But I mean, shouldn't we have this straightened out before we deal with these buttons? Are we gonna go by this, or are we gonna go by what you just did?
Let Bill look at it.
Yeah, I think we're
Yeah, let Bill.
forwarding it to Bill.
Okay.
Yeah. Let Bill look at it.
Yeah.
Just wanna make sure it's right before we go muddying up the waters again.
Don't get done mad at him.
Any further public comment? I would entertain a motion that we go into executive session, including town administrator Doug Glover.
Second.
We ask for a motion and a second.
Oh,